Hi Rowan and Ryan, Marines and sailors and soldiers, airmen and even coasties. Today I'm going to read a little bit more out of George Kosmaki's book, D-Day with the Screaming Eagles. This is Casement Books is the only publisher that has given me permission to read to you guys, so I want to make sure I do it right. So I'm going to stick with these books for now. And this is, I've got one other, and the other one I'm not quite sure. It's not written very well. But today I'm going to read a story about a private and how he almost gets his ass shot off. So Hayes' account is resumed with the discovery by Major Donahue that they had landed some 8 miles west of their intended drop zone C. Bewildered and sometimes forgetful, amazingly lucky, Hayes somehow blundered through the day without losing his life or his sense of humor. He related, a trooper was sent down the road to look at a sign. The Major then looked at his map and found that we were many miles from our drop zone. We started out the paved road and met some other troopers who joined our group. Further on down was a farmhouse. A girl was standing on the front step wearing a pretty dress. There was a blue rose bush beside growing in the barn. I kept smelling the rose and looked at the girl. Major Donahue was standing next to me talking to the Frenchman. One of the boys was acting as an interpreter. We were told that an enemy machine gun was located on the side of the road to the rear of the house. The Major ordered Johnny and Sergeant Shank and myself to attack it, and they would go around to get behind it and attack it from the rear. We walked across the field and passed a woman milking a cow. So this woman is milking the cow in the middle of the D-Day invasion. It was early in the morning, so that's, that makes sense. We got behind the hedgerow, and I could see a German running and putting something in a foxhole, and I said, I see one! I see one! And Johnny said, well, shoot him then! I could see his head sticking up, and I took a good, slow bead on him and fired. I missed. He opened up and sprayed the hedgerow where we were hiding. Sergeant Bill Shank turned around and asked, am I hit? Johnny looked him over and started to shake his head. Finally, he noticed Shank's helmet and said in his southern drawl, by golly, Shank, they almost got you. There was a hole clean through his helmet. The bullet had passed right over his scalp. Man. An armored car dropped off a mortar crew on the other side of the machine gun nest while Johnny and Shank were down in the corner of the field. They were under attack from it. I left the field and started walking down the road where the machine gun nest was located, just off to the right. All of a sudden, the armored car came around the corner. I stopped and stared at it. A man's head and shoulders were sticking up out of the turret of his machine gun was pointed at me. He was wearing the black beret of a German with a German insignia on it. It was the same kind of uniform I had seen on the dummies back in England. We must have stared at each other for a few seconds. Then, all the time, expecting bullets... Oh, wait, nope. We must have stared at each other for a few seconds when I realized what he was. I turned and started running as fast as I could, all the time expecting bullets to start ripping through my back. I ran straight into the field the machine gun had been covering, all the time heading for the hedgerow I had just left. I hit the hedgerow with full force and got only halfway through. So we bounced off the hedgerow and got only halfway through. I backed up and with more determination got through the second time. Both the crew of the armored car and the men at the machine gun nest were watching me, but they never opened fire. They must have been laughing so hard they couldn't pull the trigger. When I got on the other side, I lay on the ground facing the road. I took all the clips of ammo and laid them on the ground in front of me. I was going to make my stand right there. I had taken my pack off some time before and left it close to Johnny, but in all the excitement I had forgotten all about it. I never saw it again. I heard someone to the rear and left of me yell. I turned around and a trooper called, come over here, I'll cover you. I raced back, crouching low, and dove for the ditch beside him. And then Hayes ends his story by saying, we came to a field located next to a farmhouse where we spent the night and all of the next day. So he came really close to getting nailed in the back, but the trooper covered him. So if you like what you heard, subscribe,